Welcome into the Devil's Digest game preview as Arizona State comes off a bye week and gets set to host West Virginia here at Mountain America Stadium on Saturday at 11 a.m. My name is Justin Lestratosa. That's publisher Hoder Bino. Before we get into things, we'd like to thank our sponsors, starting with Burrito Express, the best burrito in the Valley, bar none, with 100% fresh ingredients and authentic recipes. They sponsor various ASU athletes, 2 NIL deals, and they have great deals on all of their burritos. So for all of their 9 locations and all of their deals, go to theburritoexpress.com to get a great burrito and also help out some ASU athletes. And another thank you to our other sponsor in Santan Ford. No car dealership in the Valley has helped hook up ASU players with more vehicles than Santan Ford. So if you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, go head up the Val Vista and the 202 freeway, go up to Santan Ford and get yourself a new deal on a new vehicle. And Hode, last week, we've already talked about it. Kenny Dillingham gave the entire team a week off from practice. He said it's been an emotional season. They need a mental reset, and they shouldn't be on the field for that. And they've been repaid this week with some intense practices, some physical practices. But now ASU needs to come out of the bye week not flat like they did the last time.
Yeah, exactly, Justin. And I think at least you wanted to see that initial reward that we did see in practices. So far, so good in terms of the players responding and the coaches feeling that, at least for the time being, they've been rewarded with that approach. Kenny Dillingham said that he never has been part of a staff which gave a total week off of practices during a bye week to any team that he's been part of or previous in his career. So we'll see if that does materialize to Saturday. But I know some ASU fans were kind of cringing about that just because the last time the bye week took place and ASU did practice, obviously it wasn't intense practices during the bye week, but was still there on the field multiple times during that week, that they came and laid an absolute egg on the road at Utah, by far their worst loss of the season. So there are some ASU fans that are probably apprehensive of that approach, seeing if it's actually going to work. But the coaches at least hope that what you saw in practices is going to actually materialize on Saturday. But I also feel that ASU needs to reestablish their home field advantage, because their last home game obviously was a loss to Houston. And not only was it a loss, that was an absolute dreadful performance. I would say maybe in some respects, maybe even worse than what we saw at Utah, just because it happened on a home field where ASU, up to that point, won 10 games in a row and looked absolutely lost during that contest. So I like to think that aside from proving that they can play well after a bye week, they also want to prove also that they can play well at home. And let's face it, even in the 2 non-conference games earlier in the year at home, it's not like ASU really put on a show. And every home win that they had in terms of Big 12 play was only by one score. And ASU, even I would say all their wins in conference play so far have been only 1 score. So I think it's time for ASU to come and play well in Tempe, and not only win, but actually win, maybe scoring some style points. Maybe not going to be that easy against West Virginia, but I think it is feasible. And again, I just think that the Sun Devils do have a lot to prove with that first game after the bye week and that unconventional approach that Kenny Dillingham took in terms of practices.
Yeah, and 2 weeks ago when ASU was at Iowa State, the Sun Devils controlled the game on the ground, led by quarterback Jeff Sims, who had a program best performance on the ground with his rushing yards. But this is a Mountaineer defense throughout the past 2 games that has been the best in the Big 12 when it comes to run defense. What is the Sun Devil offense going to have to look like against West Virginia?
Yeah, you have to be careful that you're not going to be one-dimensional. And I think everybody thinks that, okay, now with Jeff Sims and not Sam Levitt at quarterback, wide receiver Jordan Tyson still out, that's definitely going to be a run-heavy offense. But Kenny Dillingham and even offensive coordinator Marcus Arroyo said that you should not expect Jeff Sims to run for 228 yards and carry the ball for 29 times, and have Raleek Brown be the only running back that's going to see carries aside from Jeff Sims. There's definitely a need for more running backs to get involved. And I think one player to look out for is Jason Brown, the redshirt freshman who was somewhat down the depth chart for most of the season. But I thought this week of practices by far his best practices in a long, long time. And I also saw a lot of second-team reps in practices, something that he really hasn't seen all that much, if at all, during the season or even in fall camp. So that's going to be another interesting aspect to see. But West Virginia is no joke when it comes to the run defense. Kenny Dillingham said in the last 3 weeks, they have been the best run defense in the Big 12. I looked up the numbers. The averages bear out. They averaged 76 yards on the ground as a defense in the last 3 games. So ASU definitely has their hands full. And now the film, if you will, is out on Jeff Sims, because every defense, starting with West Virginia here on out, know exactly what to expect from ASU when it comes to Jeff Sims and the offense in general, just because Sam Levitt is obviously out for the year. So on the one hand, the ASU offense is going to have to really stick with what brought them here. Obviously, very impressive run game against Iowa State. But on the other hand, they are going to have to add some wrinkles to it, and definitely not abandon the passing game. But Jeff Sims didn't have a horrible game against Iowa State. Very efficient, 13 out of 24 passes, 177 yards, 1 touchdown. Also had the 1 interception. But you definitely saw the aerial targets like tight end Shimon Mateer, Jalen Moss having a breakout game. Then Jaron Hamilton and Malik McClain maybe having quieter games in comparison. But I think that Jeff Sims, even without Jordan Tyson in the lineup, does have some good aerial targets at his disposal, and he needs to utilize them more than he did against Iowa State. And, it might be hard to do because, ironically, the raining and cold conditions that ASU experienced in Iowa State, so far if the forecast holds, that's what's going to happen in Tempe on Saturday morning. So I'm really curious to see how that really all reconciles with obviously not wanting to stay away from the running game, knowing that that's where Jeff Sims' talents do lie, but at the same time making sure that the passing game does not take a total backseat to the running game, and making sure that he also can take advantage of a West Virginia pass defense, which is next to last in the league. So really curious to see how successful ASU is able to run the ball, but more importantly, how they're able to balance that with the passing game, because I think Jeff Sims is a better passer than maybe people give him credit for. And again, I think the aerial targets he has out there can definitely contribute quite a bit on Saturday.
Yeah, and West Virginia's offense doesn't wow you in the pass game, but throughout this winning streak that it's on right now, its run game has really elevated this offense. So ASU's run defense is going to have to be on point as well. What do you expect from this ASU defense?
Yeah, don't want to bring up really unpleasant memories for Sun Devil fans, but the head coach of West Virginia is Rich Rodriguez. Same Rich Rodriguez who was the head coach of the Arizona team back in 2016, a game that will go down in infamy as some recall. In the second half of that game in Tucson, U of A did not pass the ball one time, just ran it for 28 straight times in the second half, and that was not a close win against ASU at the time. It was an absolute blowout. So if Rich Rodriguez knows something about the game of football, and he knows quite a bit, obviously, he knows how to run the ball effectively, how to be creative in the ground attack. And this is West Virginia run offense that did average over 206 yards just in the last 2 games. So they definitely have the full attention of ASU, not only coming here on a two-game winning streak, but also being able to run the ball really well. I think luckily for ASU, that's where their strength is their run defense. So that's going to be a huge matchup, and really just a mirror matchup on the other side of the ball, who can run the ball better, who can actually stop the run more effectively. Their quarterback, Scotty Fox, does run the ball pretty well, but I think ASU definitely seen better running quarterbacks than Fox. I wouldn't really diminish Fox's abilities passing the ball, because a few weeks ago in a close loss at TCU, he did pass for over 300 yards. But he also is a freshman quarterback. So I think if the ASU defense, you're absolutely going to take your chances, but seeing if Fox in the passing game can beat you, because that really hasn't happened all that much. Even in this 2-game winning streak, the Mountaineers definitely relied more on the ground than they did in the air. So I think it's a matchup that I'm not going to say is favorable for ASU, but again, the strength of ASU's defense being stopping ground attacks is something that should help them on Saturday. But just like the other side of the ball, really facing one of the best, at least in recent weeks, run defense in the Big 12. I think the ASU defense, on the other hand, definitely needs to stop a very potent West Virginia ground attack, which again has a coach that is very, very known for his creative ground attack abilities.
Yeah, Hode, the writing's on the wall, and it's pretty clear that if ASU wants to make it back to the Big 12 championship, at the very minimum, they're going to need to win out these final 3 games. And they come in against West Virginia as 11-point favorites. Do you think that line will be reflective of the final outcome?
It's hard for me to say that it will, because ultimately ASU did not score more than 27 points in any of their wins against Power 4 opponents. And even a game against Iowa State, I mean, sure, the game went in the W column, and that's the bottom line. But I think also if you're going to run the ball and run the ball well, sometimes they can affect the number of points you put on the board or the margin of victory that you're going to have. So yes, a win is a win is a win. But in terms of being an 11-point win, I just don't know if the ASU offense has that capability. And even when Sam Levitt was like quarterback and Jordan Tyson was wide receiver, we still didn't see it back then. But I think that this is a game that's definitely winnable for the Sun Devils. I think, ironically, again, those rainy and cold conditions in Iowa State a couple of weeks ago are preparing them for very uncharacteristic rainy and cold conditions that are supposed to take place in Tempe on Saturday morning. I think that ASU is definitely going to be determined to show that coming out of the bye week and putting up a good game. And the fact that they did have practices off and still able to practice very well the last few days, that really is going to matter. And I think ASU definitely also has a burner of proof to show that they can come out strong after a bye week, not lay an egg like they did in that road game against Utah, and show that the fact that they did have a week off of practices did not only result in a good week of practices on game week, but also on a strong performance that is going to happen on Saturday. And going back also to my earlier point, ASU has not played all that well at home. I mean, sure, they won all their games but Houston, and Houston was the last game at home. So ASU also wants to take that bitter taste out of their mouth when it comes for putting on a show for the home crowd. It is an 11 a.m. Kickoff on Saturday. Ken Dillingham said it really shouldn't matter to the players. They used to waking up early and going to practice. Well, now they're going to wake up early and play a game. The 11 a.m. kickoff, I think, ultimately should matter to people like Justin and I, who have a basketball game the night before with a 9 p.m. tip-off, getting maybe 6 hours of sleep, and then covering a football game the next day, which should matter to you, the fans, that an early kickoff means a breakfast burrito, a burrito express. So just make sure that you're going to put that in your W column on Saturday to begin the day. But I think that if ASU can win this game, they're going to cover the 11-point spread. I don't think they're quite going to do that. It's going to be a white-knuckle game, I think, maybe for 3 quarters. But I see ASU pulling away in the end and winning this game 26-16.
Well, Hode, thank you for your insight as always. An early 11 a.m. kickoff, and as you just said, with that comes a great burrito at Burrito Express. So make sure to head to Burrito Express before the game, and also another thank you to our other sponsor in Santan Ford. We will be here bright and early with all the coverage, so to stay locked in, go to DevilsDigest.com. Follow Devils Digest on Twitter at Devils Digest. Once again, I'm Justin Lacertosa for publisher Hode Urbino, and we'll talk to you guys on Saturday.